guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy new month. I am so happy and so thankful to be able to do this video because last month, if you watched my video, you would know that I was struggling with some health issues. I had another mental health breakdown, but I'm so grateful to God. I'm feeling strong, I'm feeling energetic, I'm thankful. I mean, I still have some stuff that I'm trusting God for, but so far so good. This month I have a wonderful friend of mine. Her name is Ngozi. It actually sounds very strange calling out Ngozi because we always call each other Shadow. I was speaking to her earlier on. I was wondering where that name came from. Do you want to share what that Shadow?
Sure thing. So I'll tell you where Shadow came from. When I was in secondary school, shout out to all the people who went to Queen's College, Yaba, Lagos. Woo woo!
That's right.
If you didn't go to QC, you didn't go to secondary school.
Oh
but
God.
yeah. So in Queen's College, when a junior student wanted to be like a senior student or was aspiring to be a prefect, the junior students were said to be shadowing the senior students.
Okay.
So I felt like Seun here was trying to be like me, but she felt like I was trying to be like her.
Okay.
No, I was trying to be like who?
I don't know, please.
So yeah, that's how Shadow came.
That's interesting. Anyway, thanks Shadow for being on here. And it's
You're
so
welcome.
good to have
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Now this month we're going to be talking about something that's very dear to God's heart, and it's about marriage. It's not only just going to be on marriage alone. We're going to talk about our single life as well before we got married. But I've looked around and I know that marriage can be difficult sometimes. Some of us came into marriage with lots of expectations and stuff, and it wasn't the case. So we're being here, we're just going to chat about, you know, where we started from. Did we have to wait so long? What did we have to do? Are we doing now to be able to encourage anybody who's like, oh look, this married thing, or somebody who's still waiting for God, just, you know, in kind of real sense. So the first question I wanted to ask you, Shadow, is that, I'm going to keep saying Shadow because I'm used to saying Shadow, is for you, before you got married, did you have to wait? Did you have to wait long? Was it something you wanted at the time? Did you have fears or worry about not getting married on time? Or was it something that just happened?
Well, for me, that's a really interesting question because for me, I always knew that I didn't want to get married too early on in my life. But I must be honest with you, at a point, I was expecting marriage. So I was in a relationship at the time with a young man, and you know, we're in the relationship for about 6 years or thereabouts. He'll get me, it's a long time, right? He'll get me so many gifts. He was good like that. But the only gift I needed wasn't coming, which was a ring. And it appeared to me that, you know, some of my friends, my close friends, were getting married. You were getting married at the time. And I remember we eventually broke up. And you sent me a message to say you were getting married. And I'm like,
Can you imagine?
oh my God.
What
Am I supposed to do? And I had another friend who was also getting married, and she put me on her bridal train. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? You know, and for me, it was a bittersweet experience because while I was happy that my friends were moving on with life, I felt like I was stuck because at the time when I was supposed to be moving on, I was grounded, so to speak, and I really wasn't happy about that. But somehow I looked for a way to gather inner strength to move on.
Sorry, just before you can just ask you a question. So now, thinking about it now that you're married, would you have acted or behaved differently then if that had happened, knowing what marriage? Because most of us are like, oh, want to get married and stuff like that. And now we're in this marriage, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But do you think that your mindset then would have been different?
I think that I wouldn't have done it differently. I'm glad that things happened the way that it happened that time because I think I was a hot mess. And when I mean hot mess, the hottest mess that there was, because I had my own personal issues that I had to deal with. And it's so amazing because I feel like God was preparing me for my future, for the marriage that I'll find myself in. But I didn't understand it at the time. I was there envying other people, wanting to be like them, wondering why people are not buying my own ashrebi, wondering why I'm not the one going to buy bridal gown and all of that stuff. But I had the issues that I had to deal with. And, you know, there was also the issue of age. Oh my goodness. Clock time is ticking. Time is ticking. Your biological clock is ding dong, ding dong.
It's so funny because it's so funny you said it. Talking about the clock, because for me, anytime when we have like single people that are still waiting, sometimes I try to be very careful because I can't really relate. I think for me, I got married when I was 25, like an age I got married, and my own marriage before I got married, I was basically like just sat down in my apartment one day in London. Sorry guys, this is Ngozi's little one that's playing. She decides to play music for us right now, but it's so good.
Sorry guys, enjoy.
So basically, I was in my apartment and I remember just always feeling so lonely. Mine was more that I wanted to cure loneliness.
Right.
And I thought that a partner was going to cure loneliness. I didn't think about marriage as something I wanted to marry. I feel like, and God did his own good. He brought the man that I feel like is the man that God ordained for me to get married to.
Yes.
But at the time, looking at it, I feel like I was lonely and I wanted to cure loneliness. And I still had to deal with a lot of that as I got married.
It's funny that you talk about loneliness, just touching on that point, because amazingly, there's so many people who are married today who are so lonely.
Exactly.
In fact, at a point in my marriage, initially when I started off my marriage, I think I equally dealt with that whole aspect of loneliness. I didn't understand what it meant until fast forward later, few years later, I was listening to a sermon on marriage and they talked about loneliness in marriage. I'm like, that's exactly what I thought, because you know, myself and my husband obviously started living together, and he would have to go to work. I wasn't working at the time. I'll spend, I didn't have children at the time or anything. I'll spend so much time on my own by myself doing absolutely nothing. Yeah. This dude would go to work, go about his own business, and come back, and then it was lonely.
Yeah.
So I hope you all can relate.
It's true.
So there is loneliness in marriage. Don't feel obscure. Don't feel like, oh my goodness, it's a. I think it's a phase, and it's part. It comes every now and again.
Yes.
So yeah.
So essentially, what we're saying is that marriage does not cure loneliness.
No.
I came to find that out as well. In fact, when I got married, I found that out. The things my husband wanted to do were so different from what I wanted to do. I was a typical Nigerian person. He's like very westernized, and he always looked at me like, "Do you not know how to have fun by yourself?" And I was looking at him like, well, why did you get married in the first place?
It was as though you were a bit extra,
like,
right?
both of us are supposed to be doing. I thought that the bargain is that we're both supposed to do every single thing together. And the guy was like, no, what book is that? Okay, so we talked a bit about singleness, and we talked a bit about the fact that marriage does not cure loneliness and stuff. Yeah. And it's not to try and dampen. It's not to try and say to people that are single and still waiting and saying that, you know what, there's no need for you to desire. Marriage is a beautiful thing for you to desire. And I understand and appreciate it if it's hard for you sometimes. I know it is hard. Even I, in my own waiting for children, it's hard. Maybe the difference with the waiting season is different. It's kind of different. You might have some things to do. You're trusting God for. So it's not to downplay your thoughts, but it's just to tell you that, look, we too came in and thought that loneliness was going to be cured, but it's not the case. So moving on quickly, I wanted to ask you what your expectations were. So how did you meet your husband? What your expectations were coming into marriage?
Okay. So I'll tell you a very short story leading up to meeting my husband. Yeah. I was in the Nigerian law school at the time. Big ups in Nigerian law school.
Everything. Oh my God.
So at the Nigerian law school, I had a group of friends. We were prayer buddies. We would always meet at the beginning of the month for 3 days and pray, you know, for the first 3 days of the month and all that, from like 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning and all that. So one of the days, on one occasion, one of the girls came to me and said to me, you know what, Ngozi, why don't we just pray to God for a husband? I don't know what she was going through. Me, I was going through my own thing. I mean, I just broken up with this guy. I packed my bags. I come to Nigeria to do Nigerian law school. I mean, I wanted to be a lawyer. So, you know, I'd come and all that stuff. And she's like, you know, let's pray about getting a good husband. Up until then, I was involving myself with nonsense things that did not please God. I hope my mother doesn't watch this video. But yeah, things that did not please God. And you know, one day I was lying on, you know, my bed in law school, and something said to me, God cannot act contrary to himself. You cannot expect one thing from God and go against God's rules. Like, it's just not gonna work. You understand? So some people are in the choir lifting holy hands, going for choir practice and singing, but yet they are philandering with co-choir members. You understand what I mean? You're adults, right? I hope. You know? So but yeah, I was kind of like getting myself into stuff that I shouldn't get myself into as a child of God, and I was in, you know, messed up, like I was just in messed up relationships. So this friend came to me and said, you know, because let's pray for good men, for God to direct our steps so that we would be positioned for good men to see us and marry us. And I remember that day, instead of doing a 3 days fast as we usually did, we did a 7-day fast. Whoa. Oh my goodness. It was lit. It was spiritually lit. We prayed, we fasted, we prayed for in-laws, we prayed for good husbands, we prayed for great children, we prayed into our future. And believe it or not, after that whole prayer exercise, I was minding my business and my phone rang. Prior to that time, one of my uncles who was in the UK had called me and was like that, oh, there's somebody who asked for my number. I'm like, who is that? I said, oh, you met the person before, but maybe you guys didn't just talk too much and all that. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. Just give the person my number. I hope the person is not a lame human being because I cannot deal with any lameness in my life. There was somebody he had given my number to prior to that, wow. And the guy come and say, oh, is this Ngozi? I said, I just told the guy, use my number already. If you cannot pronounce my name, like that's it, So my uncle gave this young guy my number. So after that 7 days passed, I was like minding my business and trying to study like the rest of my mates who were studying for law school exams, and my phone rang. And it was this guy with so much suave on the phone, his voice so smooth. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
And he's like, hello. I'm like, hello. So that, he started, talking, and I said to him, listen, I'm having an exam, so can you call me back some other time? Which he eventually did, and we just started talking, having a good conversation, getting to know each other first of all. So he was abroad at the time, and I remember he came back to Nigeria, and basically we're trying to get to know each other more, just to be sure that the chemistry that we had long distance over the phone was basically legit in person, in real life, and eventually I got to meet his parents, he got to meet my parents, and one day I was minding my business gingerly, and this young man went down on his knees and asked for my hand in marriage. And honestly, all I can remember is that when this guy asked the question, I dived. I dived for the ring. Oh my goodness. So he didn't even ask the question completely, and I said yes. So that was basically how I transitioned from singleness into marriage.
Thanks for sharing that. I think hopefully that testimony would encourage people to go and wait, because it is a testimony.
Yes,
you prayed with your friends together at the season in your life where you were not even expecting that happened.
Yes,
so let's thank God for that. Now moving on quickly. Now, I don't know about you, I'm sure you did anyway. I came to marry with lots of expectations. So I think that in some kind of way, because what I've seen mirrored in front of me was my parents' marriage. And in a sense, I expected my husband to take on some kind of character like my dad. So to be the leader that he has been called to be. Not that my husband doesn't lead in some areas, but there's some areas that I expect him to lead that he doesn't, and it might be like an upbringing thing. So I came in with a lot of baggage. I came in with a lot of expectations. I came in with what I said earlier about feeling lonely and thinking we're going to do everything together. And me, I'm like an outgoing person. And why are we not wearing a shirt to go to the workplace together? My husband was like, no, they didn't tie us to the hip. And those things were actually shocking for me when we first got married. I think for the first few years, I was always disappointed every time when I asked my husband, let's go out. He's like, I don't want to go. And I'm like, I thought they said this thing, we're going to hold
together
and
don't be going to everywhere. Follow.
Exactly. And so I had to go. So what were your own expectations? So it doesn't look as if I'm the only person that is losing my mind.
It's funny. I think I had somewhat of an opposite expectation to you, because prior to getting into marriage, I was already into my whole career. I was practicing law as a lawyer, and I felt like this power woman, career driven, out there doing my own thing, independent. I was so independent, it was amazing. Like I didn't depend on anybody for anything, And coming into marriage, I expected that it would go on that way. Like I expected to call the shots, put it that way. And it sounds lame, but that was my expectation. So unlike you, where you expected that you would take on. No, I expected to lead the way.
Imagine.
And now it sounds wrong.
Do you think it's do you think it's an upbringing thing? Do you think it's something that you've seen before happen? Or is it something that you've just always felt, because you've done very well in your career? I know you're going to try and pull the humble guy from, but I've known you to be very hardworking and all of that, very focused and all of, since we're all growing up. So do you think that it was something that was a thing that came out on its own, or something you saw, or someplace you saw? Because sometimes there are women that like you that want to lead the way in their marriages.
I think it was a combination of so many things, or a combination of all the factors you've just pointed out. My mom is a really strong woman, and my mom is one of my role models in life, and she she's really agile. I feel like she's the lioness of our home. She's our defender. Not to say that my father doesn't defend, he does, but my mother is the one who pounces on anyone that tries to come and harass her chicks.
Yeah.
Put it that way. And that was exactly how I wanted to be. But I had it coming because my husband is equally an agile human being. So agile, damn agile. So yeah, those were my expectations in going into marriage. That I would lead, like, I don't need my husband to provide for me. I could do my stuff myself. I could work. And God's so beautiful because the Bible says that even before we were born, even before we came forth, God already knew us. He had a plan for us. And his plan is always to prosper us, right? And I feel like saying this at this point, that anything you're going through in your life right now, whether as a single, as a married, it's all part of God's plan.
I agree with you.
It's not outside of God's plan. You may not understand it. It may not make sense. It may not be ideal, but it is actually part of God's plan. And if you sit it out and wait it out, you would see it in the end. Only if you wait, So getting into marriage and coming with that, leadership persona and all that, and meeting with something else, it caused a lot of clash.
Yeah, between you and your.
Because this was agile meeting agile, and there was conflict. So yeah, my expectations were totally different from what I met.
Okay, right. So Shada, we talked about expectation. We talked about what some of our expectations were, and both of us we have like conflicting stories actually. But what would you say has sustained your marriage? You married how many years now?
I've been married 5 years now.
5 years. You're getting old. But what would you say has sustained your marriage? I mean, is it that you have not experienced any challenges or anything like that? What would you say has kept you guys?
There are a couple of things that have
And sorry, I forgot to also ask you, how did you deal with? So you mentioned the fact that you always wanted to take the lead. So how have you dealt with that?
Okay, let me answer that first before I move on to the first question you asked. How I dealt with that was I stopped. I stopped. And it's okay to stop in life. It's okay to just press the brakes and evaluate, reevaluate. Yeah. So I stopped. And again, as I said earlier on, everything going on in your life is God's plan, which you may or may not understand. And for me, I got a humbling experience because I got into this country and I couldn't find a job, or I couldn't get a job. I was a lawyer where I was coming from, and I got into this country and I had to go through the whole process of getting licensed. And so that empowerment I had before, that money, that drive that was propelling me as a career woman in that leadership role suddenly disappeared. Yeah. And now I had to take the back seat. I had to be the helper by force. And for me now, thinking about it, that was God's way of putting things in perspective, telling me, listen, daughter, this is actually what I want you to do. I need you to be a help, not a lead. I need you to follow, not lead. And even in following, you are leading only if you see it that way.
I like what you said. I think what I like the most about what you said is about that humbling experience.
Yes.
Because every single one of us, when we're dealing with any challenge, I feel like God is trying to humble us in some sense.
Yes.
When you said that one, it just reminded me of times where, in some sense, because I didn't see my husband initially like leading in some part, I would tend to want to nag and do all of that. And God just began to tell me that it's okay for him not to be that. You are here to support.
Absolutely.
So in fact, that big word you're talking about is exactly what God was trying to teach me.
Absolutely.
And I love what you said. You said if you see it in the way that you are leading.
Yes.
Okay, so what you said over there, I really like it because a lot of times we don't realize that the fact that you are not the main leader does not mean that you're not leading.
Exactly.
And I think that's what God started teaching me, that okay, in the areas where this man you feel like he's not stepping up to the plate, support him and help him. And it's not to also make me show myself as the best thing since childhood, because I'm trying to sit my husband now and ask him a lot of questions. He'll be like, this is not what he bargained for.
Absolutely.
So because a lot of time we can be in our own little bubble and think that we have all these complaints about our spouse, but they also have gripes.
Exactly.
But men deal with things very differently. Just because they don't go about talking about it to every person does not mean that they don't see.
We're chatterboxes.
I know, but men, exactly. But men, they deal with these things. In fact, I overheard my husband in one conversation a while ago, and he was saying that, in fact, he thought the way he saw me at first, he thought that I was very westernized and posh. You don't know I was Raz. First of all, I was like, but culture. It wasn't what he was expecting. Maybe when he saw me at church, I was always like, put to this. But when he see me at home, it's like, what is this? What did I buy? So it's the fact that the conflicting thoughts, you know, the things that we deal with, day to deal with in a different way. So what I want to say before we round up this video is I want you to share what has sustained. You've mentioned about the humility thing, but what has sustained your marriage? What really has kept you guys together? It's not like you have a formula or something, but what has kept your marriage?
Absolutely. What you said is very, very proper, and I think it's appropriate for us to reiterate it. There is no formula. There's no winning formula. You know, for me, I feel that communication has been a really key factor in me remaining married up to today. I learned to communicate with my husband. I had to study. I had to, again, stop and take a step back and understand the way this guy functions. Because, as I said, dating or courtship is totally different from marriage. Now you're living with this human being who was raised differently to you. You have different ideas of how things should be run, you know. So I had to take some time to study him, to know how to communicate with him. For example, my husband, you cannot communicate with him if you're yelling. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't work. And I'm a yeller. I can't shout. I can't scream. Like, it's just how I am, you know. I don't know if it's a cultural drama thing or whatever it is. It's almost like, oh, the loudest person is the one who is heard. But for him, it's the reverse. You cannot communicate with him if you're yelling, if your voice is tense. You have to calm down. And if you're upset, go and be upset. And when you're calm, you can come and talk to him. Because if you're talking to him when you're tense, he'll just walk out. And that's not him being rude. That is his own coping mechanism. That is the way he's showing you respect in that time. And I had to understand that for him, that was him respecting. Because before I thought, oh, why are you being so rude? I'm talking to you and you're walking away. But drama. Drama queen right here. Do you see what I mean? So I had to learn his method, what method of communication worked for him. The second thing that helped me is agreement. I had to learn to agree with him. It is so key. There's so many relationships, not just even in marriages, working relationships, you know, friendships that are in turmoil because there's a lack of agreement. Even the Bible says that can two walk together unless they agree. We have to agree. You have to agree to move the ship forward. So I had to learn to agree with his vision because remember, he is my lead. And now I've learned to follow. But even in following, I cannot be planning a coup within his government. So I had to learn to, I mean, it does not mean that I like his whole ideas, but I just have to learn to support it. I have to understand and trust God that God knows what this guy. And the one thing I do is I learned how to pray for my husband and how to pray for myself.
That's something that is very difficult. Even I find it difficult sometimes.
It is a difficult thing to do, but with discipline, it comes. I had to learn how to pray for my husband, and every day, one of the prayers I pray for my husband is, God, I'm under this guy's leadership, leading. And I know that as the man is the head of the woman, so is Christ, the head of the church. I don't necessarily agree or subscribe to what this guy is about to do, but please, Lord, I just ask that you give him wisdom so that whatever decision he's making will be the right decision. So I always ask God to bless him with wisdom every single, like I pray for wisdom for him more than I pray for myself.
That's a very key one.
Because he's the one whose lead, not just me, but my children are following. So we cannot afford, the ship cannot afford to sink.
I like that actually, because prayer is something that's difficult. Even when I want to pray for Wale, if I pray, I'm like, oh God, please give my husband peace. Sometimes I struggle. I remember I read a book a long time ago, and it was saying that we pray for other people, we pray for the spouse, and you take it for granted that you live with them. And I'm going to take that away now and be like, I can pray for wisdom for my husband to lead our home, because if God gives him wisdom, then it helps you.
It helps everyone, because the Bible says that wisdom is a principal thing, and in all you're doing,
Yeah.
Seek wisdom, like
Yeah.
get it. So
And I like what you
yeah.
also said about the fact that there isn't any formula.
No.
It's just some principles in life that you've adopted. Like for me, I always believe that I've always seen marriage as a risk. There are people that might be watching this, your marriage might be, going through stuff, and the truth is that I don't even have answers.
No.
Because two people are coming together from different backgrounds,
Absolutely.
and what works in my home might not work in your home. The way I relate to my husband might not be the way you can relate. And it's only by the grace of God.
It is.
And I think what the key thing we want people to take away today is that there's a biblical way that God has made marriage.
Yes.
In the sense that we, the women, we follow.
Yeah.
I had to learn that in my own marriage, that it's okay if your husband is not living that way, you're there to help him.
Yes.
Likewise, you had
Yes.
to go through a humbling
Experience, yes.
experience before you realize that actually, no, I'm following this man.
Absolutely.
And I personally believe that until we reorganize how we submit, I feel like marriage will continue to hit the rocks.
Yes.
I think that there's a whole ball game which you can talk about in a separate video about feminism and all this kind
It's
of
a
stuff.
huge topic on its own.
But
it's a huge topic.
I guess what would be your key to say today to people as we wrap up? What would you say?
My advice to anyone watching and listening and taking this very seriously is stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Your lane is precious.
Yeah.
Your lane
Even
is
as a single or a
divine.
married person.
Even as a single or married
Yeah.
or widowed or whatever person, whatever your status is, stay in your lane. Mind your business. Mind your lane. Do not aspire. Do not shadow another person. Be the unique person that God has called you to be. Just before, earlier on, Shadow was talking to her husband on the phone, and you were being all loving.
Oh my
I
God.
love you and this. And I'm like, here, I have to tell my husband this one because my husband is not the lovey-dovey type. It's not that he doesn't love
mine
me.
anyway.
He loves me, but again, it's that thing of how he expresses. He has a different love language.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I had to tell my husband, where you go, Alpha, you don't tell me I love you. And I hate Shadow telling my husband. So imagine if I went and made a big deal out of that. You see how it could cause tension in marriage. So don't envy people because you don't know the dynamics of their home and you don't know how they're structured. So pretty much just stay in your own lane. Trust God. Pray for yourself. Pray for your spouse.
Yeah.
And just trust God that everything would work out.
I think you pretty much just covered it. I was going to think about things to add, but I think the two things that stood out for me the most out of all our conversations today was when you mentioned the time that you were single and you prayed with your friends and look at what God did. And secondly, that praying for your husband for wisdom because at the end of the day, you're going to have to submit to him. And I think this is probably a good place to say that this video is not a kind of, oh, come and look at us, our marriage is perfect, because it isn't.
No.
And I know that there might be people that are struggling in their marriages, some people that haven't checked out because there's just so much going on that's so complicated. And I just want to say to you that take what Shadow said, which is stay in your lane. That place where you are, God still has a plan for you there.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter whether you're at rock bottom, it doesn't matter whether you feel like you failed, God still has a plan for you there as long as you realize it. And you see that God will pave way for you. So, thank you guys for
Don't
watching.
shadow other people.
Don't shadow. Oh my God. But yeah, thank you, Shadow, for joining me. I'm looking forward to doing more videos with you, hopefully.
Thank you.
Some of my dreams come true.
They will from your lips to God's ears.
Amen. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. God bless. Have a fantastic July. Until next time, stay blessed. Bye.
Hit the subscription button below and hit the bell notification.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Jesus, you love me too much, oh, too much, oh, too much, oh, excess love, oh. Jesus, you love me too much, oh, too much, oh, too much, oh, excess love, oh.